Hi everyone and welcome to episode 3 of Milk and Two Sugars. My name's Brittany and this is Sam. Today we will be discussing all things Star Wars, which also includes the prequels, for those of you who hate prequels. Which I know there's a lot. So yeah, we're going to go through, have a bit of a chat about what we like about Star Wars, maybe have a few things that people don't want to hear about or some views that people agree with. So let us know what you're thinking in the comments below. We also have a range of Star Wars items within our collection. So ebooks, we have a lot of graphic novels through RB Digital as well. And as you can see here, we've got a few books available, all in junior fiction, young adult, and adult fiction as well. So jump onto our catalogue and have a look. There might be something cool and new there that you want to read in the Star Wars universe. Otherwise, let's get started.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sam, what is your favourite era of Star Wars? Originals, prequels, sequels?
I am an OG fan. I don't know, but I feel like there are so many things that are better about the original trilogy now that we have the context of the prequels and not so much the sequels. Things like there's so much more significance to like the Lars homestead, you know, and the significance of Obi-Wan and Anakin's relationship. I feel like when you see them meet again in A New Hope, it's just imbued with so much meaning now. Yeah.
I like that. I think like when I first watched A New Hope, I was like, this old man called Obi-Wan Kenobi, like he's just this random old dude in it and like had no connection to it, which I kind of like. I love the originals, but as crap as the prequels are, I think I like them more, only because I'm a sucker for like prequel stories. I love like that type of stuff, and I think Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi really
the gem of the prequel trilogy.
Yes, like the shining star, the reason that there's 3 of them, I believe. Like he gives me that meaning for the originals. I'm like, like I can see Obi-Wan Kenobi in the prequels, and then that sets up the originals for me as well. And yeah, but the originals have something about them that
I think it's the simplicity. I think especially with A New Hope, it's so stripped back, and because we have never seen this world before. I mean, George Lucas himself has said that it was just meant to be like a fairy tale in space. It's like a farm boy and a wizard and a bad wizard and a princess, and it is a fairy tale. But the complexity is in the universe he's created around that. The story itself is so simple, and we get moments of sort of quietness with Luke, like him looking over the binary sunset, which they've attempted to replicate so many times, but never captured that vibe again. But they're not in a rush to get anywhere. It's the story itself is simple enough that you have quiet moments with the characters of emotion. Which I feel like hasn't happened since. It's like the prequels were obviously a lot faster. The sequels were just like being blasted out of a cannon. Like there was no quiet moments at all anywhere in that. So I feel like that's sort of the thing I miss.
I love that. I love the way that you explain that. I think, I also think just the realness of the originals, like there really is like very little CGI in it, which is one of the downfalls of the prequels. Is trash.
George Lucas, he went ham on the CGI.
He did. Sometimes I just forget that George Lucas actually created the prequels. Like they just feel so different to a degree.
I think because the original trilogy had different directors, like it was always his mind baby and his universe, but other people were like, okay, this is how you make a movie, you know, to kind of help out a bit. Whereas, I mean, the prequels I love the prequels as well. They're so earnest. And
when you grow up with them, they take on a different thing. Like I know now, like introducing my partner to that stuff, he's like, this is terrible, like terrible. Like we watched Phantom Menace the other day, and I do not remember this from my childhood, but there's the scene where Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi, they're on the Trade Federation ship.
My god!
And
they just go.
They go like, I was like, oh my god! Liam and I sat there and looked at each other. We're like, did that just happen?
Did we just see that?
It's like they turned into the Flash and it just gone. I was like,
and it's never done again or mentioned again, so it feels accidental or something.
Yeah, I was like, what in the world? And it's just, it's sort of like little gems like that I think I love the prequels for, is because you're like, oh, this is trash, but I like this trash.
You appreciate the cheesiness.
Yeah. And like some of the acting in the prequels, like I've read a lot of stuff that like Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman and stuff, they actually like had a bit of chemistry and they worked really well together. And like what one scene, the sand scene.
Oh, the infamous sand scene.
The infamous sand scene that they had actually, like, they were doing it really well. And it was George Lucas who decided to come in and say, hey, no, let's do it like this, which gave it that.
I've heard that too.
Creepiness.
Yeah.
And I really wonder how that could work, how it would have worked out if they were just left to be great actors. Like Natalie Portman's a fantastic actor. And Hayden Christensen, I think a lot of people give him flack for being Anakin Skywalker and think that he was a terrible Anakin Skywalker, but I think he really captured that constant change of having this underlying anger inside of him and then being so conflicted and going through all of that stuff. I feel like he did a really fantastic job. Like I watched that and I can like feel his pain and I can see that turmoil in him, and like, you know, that scene where he's now Darth Vader and he's just killed all of the separatist leaders and he, you know, turns around on Mustafar and like he's crying, but he's like this, you know, he's now evil and he has that change of himself where he's like, I'm leaving the old Anakin in the past. And I think he did a fantastic job. And I think that's one of the reasons why I like the prequels too, is that I think Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor did a fantastic job of like cementing that as my love for Star Wars.
Especially in episode 3. I feel like episode 3, the chemistry obviously between Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman is, you know, a hotly debated topic. But the chemistry between Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen is fantastic, you know, like the brothers and the comrades, but then there's also that conflict of the secrets and stuff. I feel like was done so well. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. I actually, have you watched the behind the gallery thing for The Mandalorian?
Not for The Mandalorian, not yet.
Dave Filoni, oh my God, love Dave Filoni and his cowboy hat. I can't remember which episode it is, but he sort of goes in, he's like on par with George Lucas. He like knows the universe and he understands it so well, which is why the Clone Wars is fantastic. But he actually sort of had this conversation about how, like, the defining moment for how Anakin has turned out, which I thought was really cool. He sort of links it into Hayden Christensen as well, of like the big defining moment is Qui-Gon Jinn. Like if Qui-Gon Jinn didn't die, that this whole scenario could have turned out very differently. Like Anakin never had a dad, and Qui-Gon Jinn was sort of that like father figure to him and was going to become that mentor, and who actually believed in him when, you know, everyone else didn't. Like
even Obi-Wan was like,
he's like,
really, this kid, you're sure? Like,
like there was like a scene where Obi-Wan's like, I feel like we've picked up some more space trash or something like that. And Qui-Gon Jinn was the only one who really believed in Anakin and that he was going to be the chosen one. And then when Qui-Gon died, that's when everything shifted. Like if Anakin had the influence of Qui-Gon in his whole life growing up into being a Padawan and a master, he may never have turned to the dark side because he would have gotten the support and everything that he needed. Whereas Obi-Wan only took him on because of Qui-Gon, because Qui-Gon asked him to. And then Obi-Wan was never that father figure to him. He was always a brother. And, you know, they touch on that in the prequels. You know, they had a brotherly bond, but that wasn't enough for Anakin to not turn to the dark side. Like, and I'm not explaining it as well as Dave Filoni did.
No, I totally get what you mean.
And I sort of stood back and I was like, wow, I never really thought of Qui-Gon Jinn being that important of a character to the entire Skywalker saga. Like, he literally sets it all up. Like, you know, he finds Anakin, but like it could have changed everything so differently. And it was really interesting to see that, because now I look at the prequels in a very different way after I watched that episode with Dave Filoni. And it gives you a new perspective, and I think I appreciate the prequels more now that I sort of understand how, you know, Anakin just really needed someone that was there for him and believed in him. He always felt like Obi-Wan was undermining him and not seeing his full potential, even though, you know, an Obi-Wan could be arrogant and everything that, you know, a Jedi is not supposed to be. They all do, but it was really
interesting. I've never heard that before. Like, you hear a lot about, I suppose it ties into the fact that that void in Anakin's life is what let Palpatine kind of sneak in there and I guess groom him from a young age and make him feel special and sort of fill that void left by Qui-Gon, but in the other way. And you see sort of from the Phantom Menace that Qui-Gon is a little bit like a tiny bit of a grey Jedi. Like, he's kind of a little bit like, who cares what the council thinks? And maybe that flexibility could have helped Anakin because he was so like constrained by the rigidity of it. That's ultimately what he was unable to like reconcile with. Yeah. Whereas people like Obi-Wan and Mace Windu and like everybody else was just like, didn't seem to be at war with it at all. They were just like, okay, I've accepted that this is the way that things need to be in my life. And
it's very interesting take on it. It really,
I'm gonna have to watch this.
It's fantastic. Like, it really, like Jon Favreau, I didn't even realize up until I watched that they had the 7 directors for The Mandalorian, and they all sit around and they all have a different take on things. But it's fantastic. You have to watch it. You sort of get this insight to things that you're like,
like cool. The 7 directors sit around and
they talk, and then
see how hard is it to get directors to talk to each other and work together.
They all do it very, very well. They do it very well. And like, you can, and once you know who directed which episode, you can be like, oh yeah, I can see that influence come out, but all ties together so well.
I love that each director had their own personality. Like, I love that in Taika Waititi's episode there was so much humor. Like that scene with the stormtroopers trying to shoot that can and they just kept missing, and it was so cheesy and it was so cliche, but I was like, that's so Taika.
I love it. He's fantastic. I'm so excited for whatever he is working on in the Star Wars universe.
It'll be amazing no matter what it is.
You just know it's going to be fantastic. Yes, and I'm very excited for the Obi-Wan series.
Oh my gosh.
It needs to continue. Kathleen Kennedy, please. Please.
I remember when they announced the Solo movie, everyone was like, this isn't what we asked for. You know what we want. This isn't what we want.
I know. I think the fact that Ewan McGregor is reprising the role is like, I don't think I've been so excited for something in such a long time. He just embodies Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think that's why he's my favorite actor or favorite character out of all of like prequels, originals, sequels. He's my favorite.
Yeah,
besides
definitely.
R2-D2. I have a weird love for the droids, except for C-3PO. Hate him.
The droids are like the dogs of the Star Wars universe. They're like sort of these innocent souls that are there that are just endlessly loyal, and like if somebody kicks a droid, it's like, it's like kicking a dog. Like, it's just not,
You know, and they have like their droid prejudice sometimes where people don't let them in, and I'm like, just let him in. Like, R2-D2 is the best. He is just, and like when he's sad, beeps. Like, it's so strange that I can see like these human beings and these human characters, and they're like upset and this terrible traumatic things happen to them, and I'm like, R2-D2 does a sad beep and goes, and I'm like,
oh my God. He's just this little dome garbage bin shaped thing, and you feel so much for him.
I know.
And I feel like, I know you don't like C-3PO, but I feel like Anthony Daniels' humor with him is sort of like when we first see the two of them like trudging through the sand dunes on Tatooine, and we don't know what R2 is saying, but 3PO's reactions are enough that we're like, oh, like this little droid is like rude and sassy and like,
I can definitely appreciate that. They have to be a duo for R2-D2 to shine like he does. But like, I love BB-8 too.
Yeah, BB-8's. I was expecting to be like, who is this new droid? I don't want to, but he's really cute.
To be quite honest, like the conversation we were having before about Babu Frick, I think I rejected Babu Frick so much because I was like, no, BB-8 is there, and BB-8 is the cute small little creature, and then even Dio, the new little squeaky one.
I didn't like how he talked. Little droids shouldn't talk. Big droids can, little droids, meh.
I loved it. He like pulled on my heartstrings, he's like, squeaky wheel, no thank you. And I'm like,
See, I liked Babu Freak. Well, you didn't like Babu Freak. I liked it because he was an animatronic. Like, if you watched, there's like a 3-hour-long making of Rise of Skywalker, and he was like a little teeny animatronic, and they had animatronics in his face and in his hands, and he was like, Babu Freak. And he was so like, I loved him. He felt like an old, like in Return of the Jedi in Jabba's palace, where you've got like Bib Fortuna as like this little puppet in Jabba's folds. It felt like that, like that they'd made these little creatures that had fully fleshed out personalities. Yeah.
I can definitely see that. But I don't know. I'm a droid lover, except for C-3PO. Something about him. Don't know if it's Anthony Daniels.
Anthony Daniels is a little bit of he said some pretty mean things about poor old Kenny Baker.
Oh, man. I don't know. He just is not. C-3PO is not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
And I would love to exclude him from everything if possible.
Oh my gosh. Harsh words.
I think that, like, and we'll probably get into this a bit later, one of the reasons I didn't like Rise of Skywalker is because C-3PO
was heavy on the 3PO.
Yeah, and I was like, ugh, yuck. And, like, when he just, he ruins moments. And I know that that's his character, that he, like, comes in at awkward times and he's just awkward.
Like the comedic relief sort of.
Yeah, but I'm like, oh, go away. Like, in Force Awakens when Han and Leia are seeing each other again from such a long time.
And he just pops up and it's like.
Pops up and he's like, oh, you may have noticed my arm is red. And I'm like, no one cares that your arm is red.
That was such a Disney, like a gag for 5-year-olds. Like, his arm is red. Like.
I was like, this is so unnecessary.
Let Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher have a moment, okay? Can we just...
They don't even need anything else surrounding them. They just, them together, you're done. Like, all we wanted was that, original, like, oh God, I can't go too deep into our game.
I know. Like, we're supposed to be talking about the Rise of Skywalker at the end, but I feel like we're already starting to like get there. We've already got things to say.
It's a big elephant in the room, and it's terrible.
So, Obi-Wan's your favourite Jedi.
Yes.
Do you have a favourite Sith character?
Oh my God, I think everybody knows that, Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren. I mean, we were talking. If Obi-Wan is the gem of the prequel trilogy, Adam Driver is the gem of the sequel trilogy.
I remember when Force Awakens first came out in the movies, and I went to the first midnight screening of it, and that scene where he takes his helmet off for the first time, literally the whole cinema just laughed.
It is ridiculous. Because his hair is like all like big and curly, and he's got like they've chiseled out his cheekbones, and he's like this, and everyone's like.
Like expecting this really
like
menacing.
A Vader, like a sort of a creature under there, and
like obviously because it's Adam Driver anyway, what he looks like, and it's just this like really jarring moment, and I think from then like the scenes where he like loses control and he's just smashing things when Rey's escaped and like just destroying everything, and the stormtroopers are walking down, they're like, nope, stuff this, turn around and go, and I'm like, I like this Kylo Ren character. Like, you can tell, like, the turmoil he's going through. And I think I loved it because I also loved Hayden Christensen as Anakin. And they had similarities of what their characters were going through, this constant pull between light and dark and that anger that comes with it. And Adam just fantastic.
I feel like because he is sort of like a serious, like a theatre actor and who wouldn't normally do like big action science fiction movies, maybe his approach was different to everyone else in the cast, because you could tell that he was doing Hayden Christensen-y things. And then at the end of Rise of Skywalker, in the 10 minutes that we get to see him redeemed, he was doing very Harrison Ford-y things.
Yeah.
And in that 3-hour-long making of documentary, J.J. Abrams was saying that was all him. He was like, should I do a Harrison Ford shrug? Should I shoot and not look? Should I be acting like Harrison Ford now because I'm like Ben again?
Yeah.
And apparently JJ was like, yeah, do it. Like, it wasn't even,
yeah,
nobody thought of it thematically in the movie. It was just a performance thing, which is one of the things that made the end of that movie.
Yeah. I think, Adam Driver as Kylo Ren was the reason I sat through The Last Jedi. Legit. I don't think I could have sat through that if it didn't have
20 minutes in, when you see what they did to Luke, it's enough to make you want to get up and walk out. if there's not other things that you kind of want to see how they pan out.
It's terrible.
Mm.
That was like, I know everyone gives the prequels like a bad rap, but holy moly, Last Jedi should not have been made.
How do you feel about The Last Jedi now that we have The Rise of Skywalker? Like, has it shifted your...
No, it's still the worst of them all. Like, I don't think anything they could do now would redeem how terrible it was.
It's just mind-boggling that they would drop $4 billion on this and then just launch straight into making movies, and they wouldn't have like a casual chat about where they wanted the movies to go. Like, it's so unclear whether The Force Awakens had an end in sight and somehow Rian Johnson was just not reined in or bullied his way into making things go the way he wanted them to go. And then they get J.J. Abrams back and he's just outright retconning stuff. Like, it's wild. It's like there was nobody in charge, that they were just given total creative control. Like, it's unbelievable that would be allowed to happen.
Yeah, it made no sense. And like, I loved The Force Awakens. When I saw that, I thought, oh my goodness, this sequels might actually be fantastic. And then Last Jedi came along and I was like, okay, I've lost all faith.
Do you feel like because there was criticism when the Force Awakens came out, people were like, oh, it's just a New Hope again. Do you feel like they took that on board and they were like, you want different? We'll give you different, which produced The Last Jedi. And then The Last Jedi, everyone was like, this isn't nostalgic enough. And so then in Rise of Skywalker, they were like, oh, okay, here's Wedge Antilles. He's old, but here he is. Look, it's the Tantive 4. We'll give Chewie a medal. Like, they were trying to patch holes that nobody was concerned about and not worrying about the craters left in other areas.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think, you know, they definitely needed to have some form of consistency because it was just, it was wild. It was like they were just throwing things out of a cupboard being like, yeah, let's do this, let's do that. Oh, no. And you're like, it's just a big mess, very big mess.
What do you think would have happened if J.J. Abrams had directed the whole trilogy?
I genuinely think it would have been fantastic.
Yeah, like, so do I.
I loved Force Awakens. Like, I genuinely, wholeheartedly loved Force Awakens to the point where it was a close contender to being my favourite out of the entire, like, Skywalker saga. I loved, and I think it was because, you know, we're being reintroduced to Han Solo and, you know, Princess Leia was there, General Leia, sorry, and we had these new characters. Like, I loved Finn and I loved Rey.
Finn had so much potential.
Yeah. Like,
so much potential.
And you know, Poe, I think they worked so well in The Force Awakens that I was so excited for The Last Jedi, and they just didn't flesh out the characters in the way that they should have. And I even feel like the acting, like, I love Daisy Ridley, but her acting during Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker really went downhill. It was, you could tell it was really scripted, and she didn't have the emotion she had in the first one. And like, it just, if J.J. Abrams had kept going, I think it would have done justice to the end of the Skywalker saga.
I feel like you can see threads of his ideas at the end that they just didn't have the time or the room, which is weird because it was such a short movie. But anyway, like Finn as a stormtrooper, realizing this is wrong, I don't want to do this, leaving, and then we sort of, that's it. Like in The Last Jedi, he's like, okay, I'm in the Resistance now, this is fine, let's go to Casino Planet, whatever. Like, yeah. And then in The Rise of Skywalker, it's sort of, you know, brought up again, and he meets Janna, and Janna and her crew were like, we heard that you left, like, we thought we can do this too. Someone else has decided to not serve the people who enslaved us as children and break out. And you go, okay, this is going somewhere, like, and then it just doesn't. You know, like 10 minutes after that conversation, and Finn is like, yeah, you know, we didn't want to do it. So the stormtroopers are humans under those helmets and they don't like doing what they're being told to do. And then 10 minutes later, they shoot someone down and Finn's like, whoa, again. And it's like, no, okay. Like, so much for that theme, for that character. Like,
yeah, and then, you know, 10 minutes later, Finn's force sensitive. Oh, all these stormtroopers seem to be force sensitive. Oh, okay, that's done.
Let's just shoot that Star Destroyer down and they'll just all die now at the end.
Yeah. Like,
you could have done something cool with that we have not seen before. Like, that could have been a really cool resolution to a battle that was different to just we blew up the bad guy's ship and we won the space war.
Yeah.
Which is how, like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time and time again. I think, and that frustrated me because they left that so open-ended at the end of Rise of Skywalker. It's like throughout the whole movie, Finn's like, Rey, I need to tell you something. And then, you know, at first I was like, oh, he's going to tell her that he loves her. And I'm like, hey. And then no. And then you start to pick up like, oh, crap, he's force sensitive. And then it just ends. And there's nothing.
It's like they forgot to resolve it or something.
Yeah. It's like, okay, totally could have had a bit at the end, like after they're hugging, have some form of conversation. Like, didn't have to just end like that. Very frustrating.
How did you feel about, like, we sort of touched on the cringy things that were like faux nostalgic. There were a few things that I thought, like, I have to be honest, when I saw young Luke and Leia training together on Endor, I cried in the cinema. I'm not ashamed to say it.
I was bawling my eyes the whole time.
Little things like that sort of show you that, like, the heart of it was in the right place.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest bummer, because if only they'd gone down the path of, like, embracing that kind of thing.
Yeah. I think the moment that really hit for me that I was, like, bawling my eyes out was when Kylo turns, like, you can see him turn into Ben and he's talking to his vision, you know, of Han Solo. And he's like, Dad. And he's like, I know. And I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
It's their thing. It's the Solo, like, Leia thing. And I was like, oh my God, I love that they resolved that. Because that was obviously such a massive thing in Force Awakens, like Ben killing his dad, Kylo killing his dad, and then him living with that. Because they didn't really touch on it too much except for his hatred of the Millennium Falcon, like in Last Jedi. And then I loved that it was his dad that was there when he decided he was back into the light and that he was going to stay there. And that it was little things just like that, those little tiny nuggets that somewhat would make me watch it again. So
do you feel it is lovely that we see Han Solo back again, but do you feel like there should have been some time in that entire trilogy where Kylo Ren is in his room talking to Darth Vader's helmet being like, come on, Granddad, give me something, like, I want to be like you, Granddad, what should I do? That Anakin could have just taken 10 minutes out of his Force afterlife and been like, you want to be like me? Like, stop it, go to the good side, like, stop, go apologize to your mother, like. But then apparently it's okay for them to all talk to Rey, even though she has zero connection with any of them.
Yep.
That they never have any kind of communion with Kylo. Did that rub you the wrong way, or?
Oh yeah, and I think, and you know my opinion on that bloody last scene in Rise of Skywalker where they do all talk to Rey about, there could have been I think they probably could have afforded in their budget to bring Hayden Christensen back for just 2 seconds.
He was already on the payroll. They had him doing the voice acting. Just chuck a wig on him. Come on, guys.
2 seconds, just 2 seconds of him. And I think if they had have done that, no matter where they put it, if it was in The Last Jedi, I really wanted him to, as much as I loved having Han as the one with Kylo when he turned, it would have been the perfect moment for Hayden Christensen as Anakin to come out and say, hey buddy, like, I'm proud of you, like, you know, you've done what I've done and you've turned from the dark side. I don't know how hard that is, like go and be good, like go and live up to your legacy of the Skywalker name. No, like, just nowhere, not even in the last scene where, you know, he's standing there with Rey and she gets up and, like, just, it all, like, when he gets thrown down into the hole, like, Anakin putting his hand out and lifting him up, like, just, there's so many things that they could have done and they didn't, and I would have been happy. No matter what else happened in Rise of Skywalker, I would have been happy if they had just done that. Just 2 seconds, like, literally, just his hand out. Yeah. You see his face, he doesn't even have to talk, like, just once.
They could have just done what they did at the end of Return of the Jedi and just recycled footage, and that would have been fine anyway. But I feel like there was a massive Anakin-shaped hole in the entire sequel trilogy. It sort of stopped being about Skywalkers a bit. Like, the entire OG and prequel trilogy are kind of about Anakin and his kids. Like it's his story. And then we've got these new characters that they're really pushing, like the new characters though. And I understand that they were frustrated that everyone was like, yeah, but who's Rey related to? Like she has to, that's one of the few things I liked about The Last Jedi. I liked that she was nobody because I liked that whole the Force can manifest in anybody and you don't have to come from, because that was kind of the point of Kylo, that he was like drowning under the expectations of coming from this legendary family, and what does that mean and how does he live up to this insane expectation of this grandfather. And it was kind of nice to have that juxtaposed with Rey, who was just nobody, who just had this power that she didn't know what to do with, which was a big fat retcon in the third one. But the whole Anakin thing, the whole point of Darth Vader's sacrifice at the end of Return of the Jedi to save Luke was like irrelevant because Palpatine like survived. So what was the point of that? And I understand there's like a precedent in the canon for Force healing as like a light side thing, but for the casual moviegoer, if you're watching Rey and Kylo just healing willy-nilly, you're like, oh, so what did Anakin like turn for? If he was so concerned about Padme, he could have just Force healed her, I guess.
Yeah. And then they just read, like, when I was watching that, I was like, where did this come from, that Force healing? I was like, this is like just come left field out of nowhere for me.
It's like an obscure extended universe thing that sort of never has been in the... Well, I suppose when you first meet old Ben, he sort of like heals Luke, wakes him up a bit, but it's never like expounded on. And because Anakin's like terror of losing Padme is like the core of his turn to the dark side, it's really strange that they would be like, yeah, but you can just stop people from dying if you really want to. He just mustn't have really wanted to. And maybe it's to do with the fact that he was already too far gone and it's a light side thing, and maybe because he was being selfish, and maybe it was to do with the fact that Ben had to turn good to be able to use that power rather than Anakin turning bad and then not being able to access it. Maybe that's a theme. Would have been nice if we like, I don't know, expanded on that and like made something of it in the film.
Because they sort of, I feel like they tied it into them being a dyad in the Force, but I was like, we also have had no explanation of what a dyad is. Like, at all. And, you know, I'm sure it's in the universe somewhere, you know, like all in the lore, but like if you haven't delved that deep, it's like, what is this random thing? And like they do touch on it and you sort of wonder what their connection is in The Last Jedi. And then it comes into being explained as a dyad, but then it just brings in this random Force healing, and I was like, okay, like this feels too far-fetched.
It's like they pick and chose things that were like kind of established, but they didn't bother to establish them anymore. They were just like, this is the way things are now. Like the opening line of The Crawl is like, somehow Palpatine has returned. Like they just drop it on you and go, accept that now, and there's no storytelling support to make it make any sense.
And something that I was like, okay, what in the world is the whole storyline of Exegol and Luke going on this adventure with bloody Lando Calrissian trying to find out all this information? I was like, we have never heard about this in this series. They don't even touch on it that Luke is trying to do things. Like the whole reason Luke went and hid away was because he saw this darkness in Ben. Like there's nothing there about this storyline, and I'm like, okay, rightio.
There's like zero foreshadowing or set up for the fact that Palpatine is alive, because they didn't know he was going to be alive at the end, because they had to throw that ending in. So it feels thrown in because it is. And it makes no sense that Luke would have known about it the whole time and not taken extra precautions to like protect the kids he was training, and then been like, oh my God, someone evil is influencing the kids I'm training. Who could have foreseen this? Like, if he knew Palpatine was out there, if he'd gone on a search with Lando.
Like just so dumb.
What do you think about, and this is another like a funny thing, the whole Palpatine being back, but also Palpatine making Snoke. Like, what do you think about the fact that the villain for the first two films of the trilogy was just like a puppet of Palpatine's, and that he was there the whole time, but they tried to flesh out and establish this new villain, and then they were like, yeah, but someone else killed him off and we need a villain. So
I definitely I didn't like Snoke as a villain because he just came out of nowhere, and we were like, okay, well, I'm gonna roll with it, but no idea who you are. And then, it sort of made a bit more sense at the end that once we found out that Palpatine was behind it all, but like that scene where there's just like a bunch of Snokes in a tube. I was
like Palpatine is like to Kylo, Kylo's like, I killed Snoke, I'm not scared of you. And Palpatine's like, oh, I made Snoke. And you think, oh, like he helped influence him in his rise to power. And then it like pans over to a tube and you're like, oh,
he actually
made Snoke. And he was making more Snokes. Like, in case the first Snoke failed, was he going to unleash more Snokes into the... What was his plan for these other Snokes?
Just an army of Snokes.
There's just so much to pick apart with the Palpatine thing. Yeah. And the fact that he had children or a child that apparently was separate to... I guess he was cloning himself. We're never really told, but we can just assume. So...
It, like, disgusts me, the thought of, like, Palpatine... doing things like that. It's sort of on par with Harry Potter and the Cursed Child.
Yeah, it's like Voldemort having a secret daughter. Yeah.
It's like,
and it's so lazy. It's such lazy writing to have your villain who's been dead for however long to have like a child that nobody knew about, that there's no reason for them to have.
And the fact that his child's good, I was like, that just wouldn't happen. His child would not have grown up in an environment where they would have been good. And so,
I mean, were they that good though? Because they apparently sold Rey to protect her, but they still sold her.
Yeah. Like,
which is a bit like,
just run and hide. Like, just go. Like, you can be a family together. Just, you don't have to leave her on this random planet.
Yeah.
With this big, fat, blubbery dude. That
yeah, they were like, the best place to leave her is with this awful slug who's going to starve her, and she's just going to have to like scrounge for scraps in like extreme hardship for the rest of her life.
Oh my God, it just it just felt I didn't like that she ended up being a Palpatine. I also then didn't like that she ended up taking the Skywalker name. I was like,
that made no like, I get that we the audience, the Skywalker name is the most significant name to us. But to Rey, like, she maybe spent like a few weeks with Luke. He was kind of not that helpful to her in the end. Like, Leia was much more of a mentor, but she didn't name herself Rey Organa. Like, Ben was supposedly her soul force, like, mate or whatever that situation was supposed to be, and she didn't name herself Rey Solo. Like, it was purely for us, the audience, because we know the name Skywalker.
Yeah.
The same reason that she, like, buries the lightsabers and then turns her lightsaber on to show us, the audience, that it is a yellow lightsaber. Available now in the Disney store. Like, that's the only reason she turns it on. Yeah. Like, she looks into the camera and goes, look, a yellow one.
Go and play
Turns it off again. And that, it's, you know, there were so many beats like that felt like they were being presented to us, the audience, like Chewie getting a medal. That was just being given to the audience behind the fourth wall. It had nothing.
No.
You know?
I haven't really read into all of that, like, fans wanting Chewie to get a medal thing. So that happened and I was like...
It was like a throwaway thing back in the day that people were like, how come Chewie didn't get a medal? Like, that's so rude. Everyone else did. And I feel like, I don't know if this is true, but I feel like George Lucas wrote into canon that, in Wookiee culture, they don't, medals and things aren't accepted. Like, it was written into the canon a long time ago, but I guess...
I never even paid attention to it.
Like, it's such a minor thing for them to be like, fans are annoyed about this. Like, fans are annoyed about much bigger things that you chose not to address.
The entire plot line. Yes, I am, don't like any of it.
So disappointing. But, like, I guess at least we have other things to look forward to.
Yes. The Mandalorian's pretty good.
I was pleasantly surprised by The Mandalorian. I was expecting to be, like, I'm not one of, I don't understand why Boba Fett has been so obsessed about.
No, because he was, like, nothing in the originals. Like, he captured Han Solo and everything like that and blah, 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 but really Darth Vader did that. But, like, I don't understand the hype around him.
I don't know why people were so obsessed, and like Mandalorians in general. I guess maybe it's like an EU thing and there's books and comics that people sort of got really into, but when they announced it, I was kind of like, meh. And I feel like they maybe knew that people were on the fence about it, which is why they pulled out the big guns with Baby Yoda to like keep everyone hooked.
And it worked. I'm a sucker for Baby Yoda.
Oh, everybody. That makes sense to anybody on the planet that can like resist Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
But then at the end, like the season finale, and I can't remember the character's name, but he like pulls out the Darksaber and everyone goes, it's the Darksaber, and it's like they're going to go into that EU stuff and Clone Wars and Rebels, and then obviously they made the announcement recently that Rosario Dawson has been cast as Ahsoka Tano in the second season.
Oh.
Did you not hear that?
No.
Yeah, sorry. It's like a spoiler and they weren't announcing it, but it came out that Rosario Dawson has been cast to play Ahsoka in the next season of The Mandalorian. So, which is interesting because she speaks to Rey in The Rise of Skywalker. Like, she's one of the Jedi's voices that we hear. But apparently her name has been taken out of the credits now, so it's just female Jedi 3 because they don't want her to be dead because they want to keep using her.
Yeah.
So
Oh, interesting. I don't know if I can picture that. Her.
It's a bit weird, isn't it? Imagining a cartoon as a person now and an adult, like, because she is a child and Rosario Dawson's like in her 40s or something.
Yeah, that's. I'm just like struggling to see how that will work, and seeing her as an actor already, her matching that. But yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. We'll just have to see. I mean, they've done a fantastic job. So if they're casting her, she's obviously the right fit.
I think she was like a fan favorite as well. Like, I feel like for a long time she's been like pushing for the role. It's like a bit of a Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan situation where she's been like, I really want to do this, and then people are like, are you going to do it? And she's like, I mean, I want to. So I think it was just a decision that probably made sense for them, maybe. I don't know.
Who knows? But so something that I love about Star Wars is the battle scenes and how many there are. What is the most standout for you? Which one makes you be like, oh my god, yes, I love that, lightsabers?
I mean, I guess there's different things. Like, if you're just talking about like an amazing lightsaber fight, it would have to be Obi-Wan and Anakin on Mustafar, wouldn't it? But I like
score behind that.
Yeah, or like all the Duel of the Fates, like Qui-Gon and Darth Maul, like purely just for like the music and how iconic it was alone.
Yeah.
But
I rewatched that. When I rewatched that, I was like,
not as cool as you remember.
As I remember it.
Maybe it's something that as a kid you're like, oh my god, and I haven't rewatched The Phantom Menace in a long time. It's probably the one I've seen the least. Yeah.
I'm surprised that they kept moving forward with the trilogy after that. I was like,
maybe I feel like the fans who were like maybe our age when the prequel trilogy came out felt the way that we feel about the sequels, and if we just give it 10 years, we'll be like totally fine with it.
Yeah.
But as far as like the best battle scene, I feel like Luke and Vader the first time, for some reason that's
when he finds out that he's his dad.
On Bespin, like it's not impressive. It's like that clunky old, like there's no one's flipping and doing things and jumping, and it's just they're whacking each other with them. But the emotion behind it and the fact that Vader is like to Luke, you aren't a Jedi yet, and it's like cutting Luke down. It's like the lowest point of his hero's journey, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like the emotion behind that, and then when you like mirror it with Luke and Vader again in Return of the Jedi, and you can see like Vader's conflict and wanting to turn on Palpatine and Luke's optimism, and
you can feel that through his mask.
Yeah. And like James Earl Jones's voice, I guess. I don't know. Yeah.
I agree with that. It's like it's so hard watching all of the new battle scenes and stuff and fights and like the very first lightsaber fight between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, and it's like basic.
It's very underwhelming.
Yeah.
After you've seen Liam Neeson doing like backflips.
Yeah, but it is so significant. It's the first time that the audience has ever seen it, and then I think I love the Battle of the Heroes with Obi-Wan and Anakin. Like that scene for me hits me the most because I loved it when I was a kid, and like it really signifies the change from him being a Jedi and like he's screaming that he hates him, like when he's chopped his legs off, and he has the high ground, and all the memes that ensue.
It's intense.
It is, but like I don't think anything really in the sequels hit me like that.
I feel like that's what Snoke's throne room was supposed to be.
Yeah,
but maybe just it didn't get there in like the execution.
Yeah. I don't know. And I think it's because, like, it was cool to see Kylo and Rey, like, fight together, but you also knew that it was never going to stay that way. I think I loved it out of the sequels, and it's not even like it's just like a gunfight and then a saber fight when it's Ben and he's fighting against the Knights of Ren.
Oh yeah,
and I think I really love it too because have you seen the like dub over on Facebook of I Need a Hero over the top of it?
No.
Oh my god! Once you see it, it like is the perfect tune to like how they've done it. Once you see it, once you watch the normal movie, you'll never be able to see that scene with anything else. But it just like.
Do you feel like the Knights of Ren probably could have gone a bit harder though?
Yeah.
Considering that they were like the Knights of Ren and it was like a thing, and we were like, are we going to get to see the Knights of Ren? And then they're just a couple of guys that he has to like cut through, and then he moves on with his adventure, and it's sort of a non-event.
Yeah, it's like. And the fact that we don't really ever see them before the last one.
Or know like who they are or what their significance is or what their relationship is. Like presumably they're like working with Kylo. Like I guess it's kind of implied that they're Luke's students who defected when he did. So if that's the case, then why would they turn on him? Yeah.
It's like, have they always been working for Emperor Palpatine? Like what is that? Because I was like, when they turned against him, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, like I thought he was like your
friends.
Fickle friends.
Fickle friends, yeah. It just was very strange. But there's not really anything in the sequels that like astounded me at all in the way of battles. And I think I like the prequels because they actually did have some pretty stellar fight scenes.
There was a lot in the prequels that has aged well, I think. Like Obi-Wan and Anakin. I remember at the time, I can't remember how old I would have been, but I remember sitting in the cinema being like, this is taking ages. Like, we already know what's going to happen. We know Obi-Wan's going to win. Like, come on. But now it's the thing you look forward to in that movie. Like, you spend the whole movie waiting for that climax.
Yeah, you're like, oh my god, yes.
Yeah.
I remember, like, when I was sitting in the movies and watching Revenge of the Sith for the first time, we randomly went at like 9 o'clock in the morning as a family. And so we'd had like bacon and eggs for breakfast, and then we went to the movies, and Mum and Dad were like, I don't really want you guys to have popcorn. And like, we want popcorn. So we got popcorn, 9 o'clock in the morning. And then like the scene that resonated with me was when Hayden Christensen is Darth Vader for the first time, and he's like breaking out of his constraints. He finds out Padme's dead, and like the audio in the cinema was like mad loud, and then he just goes no, and I felt it like deep in my soul, and that's like a moment that has stayed with me forever.
That is so, that the way that they shot that as well, like the way that he's framed on the operating table being turned into Darth Vader while Padme is having Luke and Leia and dying, and then the way that it's framed where he's in his Vader suit and his mask goes on for the first time and he takes his first breath as Vader, and it's framed the same way as like Padme is like dead in her coffin, like oof.
I know.
Like those emotional beats in that was so well done. Yeah.
It's amazing that they have stuff like that in there when there's other really terrible parts in the prequels. It's like just this weird balance between the two. But that scene, oh man. And I loved Padme. I love the women in Star Wars. I think like Padme was always my favorite out. Like I know everyone loves Leia, and I love Leia too, but Padme was who like the female that I resonated with in the series. And she was just, it always sometimes didn't make sense to me. I remember when I was growing up, I was like, ooh, Anakin was a kid and Padme was an adult, and then now they're together, and then I realized like she was only like 14 at the time. Like it took a few years for those cogs to turn for me to not be like, ugh.
There's a meme of this actually, of the weirdness of Padme being like confronted with a Ewan McGregor in his prime, like a young apprentice Ewan McGregor, and
nice little rat's tail.
with his rat's tail, and like an 8-year-old with a bowl cut, and she's like 8-year-old with a bowl cut, like goes straight in that direction. Like it's so funny because it is like, I guess
essentially
she is the actress. She's probably closer to like 17 or 18, so she's much closer to his age.
Yeah. But, it's a lot more little child.
It's definitely a weird dynamic.
Oh, creepy. Very, very creepy. Let's get away from that. So maybe to wrap things up, what out of the entire saga, what's your favourite movie out of all of them and why?
I mean, it's weird. I feel like we haven't talked about Rogue One at all, but the last half hour or so of Rogue One, I just loved. And it's weird because it's just nostalgia. It's because it looks very 70s and even the audio is a little bit muffled in 70s. And I know that people find this like shameless fan service, but that last bit where the rebels have the plans to the Death Star and they're trying to get it and they're freaking out and that klaxon's going off and then it goes silent except for the klaxon and you just see Vader like illuminating his saber in this dark corridor. It's like goosebumps and they're trying to get the plan out and it like that's the only time you really see him as like you know that he has this reputation as the most evil, fearsome person in the galaxy. Yeah. But you don't really see, like they don't show you, but they show you there. Like he's like throwing people at the roof and cutting them in half. And it's like, this guy is going to decimate everyone and they need to get these plans out. And it was just so well done. And then it goes into the Tantive 4 and the rebels have like those weird helmets on and you see like R2 and 3PO and they get the plans to Leia. For some reason, that to me was like, I was exhilarated watching that.
I literally have goosebumps as you're talking about it. I think that scene was like my dad, he grew up when the originals came out and he was always like, oh, Darth Vader was just this, he was this big evil, he was this big bad guy that people were scared about. And I was like, I just don't see it. Like when I was growing up watching them, I was like, he doesn't even do anything bad. He just breathes loud. But that scene, like, it's like dead quiet except that noise. And then, zoom, and you're like, oh my God. And, you know, take it.
Yeah.
And it's, you just...
And the way the rebels are like, the way that they freak out when they see him, it's just, Because we see him intimidating his co-workers. Like, you know, being evil in meetings and choking people and all of that, which kind of feels almost comedic now because it's so ingrained pop culturally. Like for us, we know what Darth Vader looks like and we know that he chokes people. Yeah. But like that felt like something out of a horror movie. It was so like, oh my God, he's so evil.
It's actually like really when you think about it, one of the only times you see him actually engaging with the rebels, like just, you know, lowly rebels, no big hidden character, which I think is why it's fantastic. Yeah. I didn't even think about Rogue One. I loved everything about Rogue One. It was really fantastic. Yeah. I think for me, as much as I love everything else, Return of the Jedi, love it. I have a thing with Star Wars where I love like the third movie in everything except for Rise of Skywalker, as you may know. There's just something about it, like everything. I feel like they wrap stuff up really nicely in Return of the Jedi, and I love the Ewoks and that last scene. I never watched the version where they used the Yum Num song, and I'm glad that I never grew up with that because it's terrible. I grew up with the one where they had then like put the love that song. Like I love it, and I feel like that it just was the perfect song. And you know when they like once the prequels come out and they take those videos of the galaxy rejoicing for the end of the Empire and everything, it just something about it. You see all of these characters who have been going through everything and like just come into their own, and it's just something about it. It's just fantastic. It was always my favorite when I was a kid, and it still is my favorite. So that and Revenge of the Sith. Yeah, I love that because I love Hayden Christensen's change into thing, and like Order 66 and everything. Just all those real. I love those like sad scenes and then those really happy scenes and how they meld really well together. So.
I think you're right about the third movie, the way they do the bittersweet endings. Like Luke is sad, he's laid his father to rest, but he's with his friends and his sister. And episode 3, the ending, like that final scene of episode 3 is just, it's like another goosebump scene, you know. Obi-Wan giving baby Luke to Lars and Beru looks at him and takes him up on the sand dune, and they're watching the sunset, and Obi-Wan like disappears off into the desert. Like it's just a perfect ending.
It is. I think I like that. Like they just have done that so well, and that's why, you know, the sequels are sort of to the side because they haven't done that. But and like I love the Jabba the Hutt scene where, you know, Princess Leia is in her Jabba slaying outfit, and like just strong. Everything about it is just strong, and I loved it. So I think as much as I hate the last ones, like the Skywalker saga, like I'm still going to love Star Wars regardless. Yeah. And I'm really excited for all the side projects that are coming along.
I feel like at this stage, they've invested so much. They're going to keep doing them, and they're only going to get better because they're going to listen to what hopefully people are saying. Like, I mean, Mark Hamill has said that they don't care if it's good, they care if it makes money. But he's obviously been very badly burnt by it.
Yes.
So, if they want to keep making money, they got to make them good. Otherwise, people are going to stop going, as seen in the loss of money from Solo. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what comes. Me too. Solo was like an inoffensive, like, you know, I just didn't really care about young Han Solo. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And it was a bit weird how they felt the need to jam everything we know about him into that one movie.
Yeah.
Like, he gets the Falcon, he meets Lando, he meets Chewie in the space of like 3 days, and that's all the stuff we know about him as a character. So they had to put it in there.
Yeah. It definitely wasn't the sort of side movie that we needed.
Yeah.
But we got it. We got it, and cool.
You're going to take what you can get.
Yeah. But yeah, Disney, if you ever happen to watch this, please listen to your fans.
Mm-hmm.
We want good quality, not crap.
Yeah. Some of us are very invested. Some may say too invested, but we're invested.
Just to say the least. Well, I think we'll wrap it up there. So thank you very much, Sam. Just another reminder, it's free to join the library, and we've got a whole range of Star Wars items that you can loan out for free with your library card. They are very, very cool, so definitely check them out. But it has been an absolute pleasure.
It's been fun
talking to Sam today. And if you guys see us out on the floor in the library and you have watched this and you love Star Wars, have a chat with us. We love having those interactions with you guys. You may agree with some stuff we said, you may disagree. Mm-hmm. Have a chat. We love it.
Love a good nerdy argument.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're there for it. We're there. But thank you very much, and we'll see you next time, guys.
See ya.
Bye.